aftermarkets. It's all about...
Put it in a headline.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Welcome to the Hunters Campfire podcast. Pull up a chair and join Hurls, Jono and Mark as we share stories from the hunt, insights from the field, and a few laughs along the way. Whether you're chasing game or just love the outdoors, this is your place by the fire.
Happy New Year, gents.
Good evening, gentlemen.
We're the streamers and the fireworks.
I don't know.
Happy New Year.
I'm just waiting to make sure this is working before we jump out again.
Yes, blow the cobwebs out of all of the podcasting tools and back at it.
Back at it.
Welcome back to Australia, Mark.
Thank you very much. Very good to be back. A little sad to be back. Well, not sad, but missing the. I've quite liked London this time. It was very good. We did 2 full days just walking around London, and I really enjoyed that. Just
I enjoyed
kept
London.
on seeing things going.
I enjoyed
wow, look at that. Wow, look at that. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, I think visiting London's very different to living in London.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
I was there for I lived in London for 2002. So 5 years I lived in London, but obviously commuted into London a lot. Pretty much every day for work, not central London, but I used to go in quite frequently. But yeah, I lived in London for 5 years, and you kind of get sick of it, and
I'm sure
it gets overwhelming, and there's a lot of people, and it's wet and miserable, and crowded tubes, and then summer comes, and the tubes are hot and sweaty, and you got someone's stinky armpit in your face, and yeah.
Oh, it sounds like you spend a lot of time in London, mate. Turn into a whinger.
Well, no, I have to back him up there. Because it was cold going in the tube, it was hot, and so you had this, which I reckon is why everyone gets sick, because you're just like, I'm hot, I'm cold. And to the stinky, we got on a train, and there was a guy on it, and I went, holy moly! It was like, is this some kind of chemical attack? Something going wrong here? That man.
Yeah. Well, someone I know used to shower once a week because he said it was so cold that he didn't sweat, so therefore he didn't need to shower very often until it got to the point where it was, and his name was Mark. Mark, you need to go and have a shower. You stink.
That's wrong.
Yeah. That's the mentality. Yeah.
It's funny. I was talking to one of the guys from our New Zealand crew, New Zealand crew to be, I should say.
Okay.
Few of us heading over, and one of the, everyone's getting their training and everything sorted out. I was talking to one of the guys today about, he's like, how much of everything do you take? I said, well, it's cold weather, so, you're not going to sweat as much, but you are going to be climbing 1,200 meters on a bad day. So you're going to sweat whether it's cold or not, but not showering for a week. It's just, yeah.
That's the Pilliga. Go to the Pilliga, don't shower for the 5-6 days I'm there.
These days we like a bit of luxury. We often take showers and hand showers, and we got the Julkers, and we travel with. I guess we're spoiled.
No, Pilliga.
Hygienic's the word you're looking for.
Yeah,
hygienic. Yeah. Well, there is other ways to remain hygienic without showering. I mean,
but I mean, when if I go,
sure, washing is considered. Yes, okay.
Yeah. You don't live in your own filth, but you go through a lot of baby wipes.
Yeah, but he's not doing the baby wipe. Yes, we're still having a scrub with some sort of cleanliness.
Well, in the end, I think all you're doing is just pushing the dirt around. To be honest,
you shouldn't use the same baby wipes every night.
It's baby wipes and things like that.
More than one pack. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I noticed on a number of the New Zealand trips, you don't sweat a whole bunch, and as long as you've got a change of underwear and socks, pretty much your thermals, you're getting 3-4 days out of them, and then you've got jumpers and jackets and rain. You don't need multiples of them, so you can travel pretty light. But yeah,
underwears and socks.
I've just spent 6 weeks in thermals, and yes, they actually, for their weight, they're probably one of the best things you can do.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
They just seem to, and they don't seem to make you hot. They just seem to regulate you really well if they're good ones.
What were you using?
I was using
Merinos.
Merino.
It's got to be Merino. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And they just regulated really well. So you didn't have to. And the tops I was wearing underneath the jacket were Merino as well too. So thin, but seemed to regulate the heat really well. And I wore that Huntcamp. So whenever it was like, if it was dry, I wore a nice, casual jacket. If it was anything like wet or snow, straight to the Huntcamp. because it's a puffer, but it's a waterproof puffer.
The McKinnon, yeah.
Yeah, the McKinnon. So I just straight to that, and I wore it, as you've seen, I wore that in snow, and it was that was the first time I ever really lived with snow. Like, you went to bed and it's snowing, you got up and it's deeper, you're driving the car and you're walking everywhere, live with snow. It was quite, and for the boys, it was, they'd never seen snow like that. They'd seen snow on the ground, they'd never seen snow falling. So and since we're seaside, snow on the beach was quite weird too.
That's
That's a strange thing anywhere in the world, really.
That's really, snow on the beach is a strange thing. You kind of go, wow. Yet there was guys still out fishing.
Oh,
seriously dedicated.
yeah, that's nuts. But they're acclimatized to it, aren't they? So they do what's pretty normal. Before we get into your trip highlights,
Sure.
lots going on here while you were away. with all
Yeah,
this,
no, I go away
crazy.
for a couple
I
of
mean,
days and
Bondi
you boys
happened while you were away.
I go away for a couple of days and boys just go crazy. You just go mad.
It just went mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that happened while you were away, and we've had a couple of updates since that.
Mm.
We're not going to cover too much of that tonight, but we will have Tom from SSAA join us in a couple of days, and we'll turn that podcast around pretty quick. For those who've been catching up on all our podcasts over Christmas, you would have noticed that we had a hodgepodge of dates thrown at you. We found some old stuff in the archives that we turned into new potties, and anyway, they all come out, so you've all caught up. But now we're back on track in terms of dates. It's the 20th of January. You'll probably hear this tomorrow, the 21st. And then we'll get Tom through again to give us an update of what's happened in Canberra this week and what it means to us federally and what the likely outcomes are going to be state by state potentially as well. But just see how that conversation goes. So tune into that.
Yeah, Tom is certainly everywhere at the moment. That's for sure.
He's been very,
very
very
He's getting up the air
love the show.
miles. That's for sure.
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
Yeah, no, it should be good or bad, but it'll be informative.
Mm.
What'd you get up to over the break, Johnny?
Well, we went hunting, didn't we? We
Jeez, that was a while ago. That was a good hunt.
That was good. Yeah. So we popped down to New South Wales, a private property this time for a couple of days. Took my son Adam, and whilst it's not his first hunt, he has been with me a couple of times on public land. He's never been out on a private property where the chances are pretty good of seeing deer, especially on this place. And yeah, I took a deer, and it's the first deer that he's been witness being shot. So he saw the whole process with the stalk and taking the shot, and then obviously walking up on the animal, and then obviously involved with the gutting process. And yeah, he was hooked, loved it. We did some spotlighting because we had to go and help out the neighbor with some problematic deer, and he came along with that, and yeah, he loves it, absolutely loved it. All he ever said was, "Can we go shooting now? Can we go shooting now? Can we go spotlighting tonight?" Yeah, so he's hooked. And yeah, we ended up taking, I ended up taking 6 deer with him present. So yeah, he got to see the whole process of animals being shot, animals being gutted, animals being butchered, and got to be around the camp, which was pretty good. We went fishing one afternoon and he managed to catch a cod. So he beat me to catching a cod. So yeah, I'm a bit jealous on that one. So yeah. And he's hooked. He's like looking around places where we live. Where can we catch cod? Can we go? Oh, I found this place. Like, you can go catch cod. He's like, oh, and we drive past a little creek or something like that. Do you think there's cod in there? So yeah, he's hooked on it. And yeah, had a fantastic time. So yeah. We did the butchery together. Yeah, we hung the meat up. I got quite a large commercial fridge, so I dry aged my meat for almost 2 weeks, so 10 days I did, and then butchered it up, and the meat's beautiful. So, yeah, fantastic, great Christmas break.
Yeah, I got about 15 or 16 kilos of mince out of that trip. Kept the back straps, minced up the rest. I'm making heaps of curries and that sort of stuff. But yeah, another good trip to stack the freezer up. Spent a bit of time behind the rifles, getting some of the longer distance stuff dialed in, or at least the beginning of the process of dialing it in. I think I'd sighted so I've got the Eliminator 6, which is the auto ranging scope for Burris on the Benelli Lupo, and I'd sighted that in at the range to 300. By the time we'd finished, we were shooting out to 400, I think it was, wasn't it? Not 400.
400, yeah.
So yeah, I was getting a nice consistent group at 400, which is kind of where I wanted to be before New Zealand. A bit more time behind the rifle at 400 meters would be good. But yeah, there's some longer shots that potentially be taken over there, and you just got to practice it, I think, and make sure that you're comfortable. So we did that, and one of the previous episodes that we put out, we talked about the air gazebos.
Mm.
Well, the rise of the air gazebo is a real thing. Managed to get a Christmas deal on one of those Zempire air gazebos. So we took that down to try it out. So easy. It's
Great
funny.
piece of kit, eh?
I'm sure Adam will be watching this. I'm sure I watched Adam struggle to put that thing up half a dozen times. It's so easy. You just pump it up and away it goes. But it was, really nice piece of gear. And you picked one of those up, but also the tent.
I got the tent,
The Zempire Air tent.
I got the Zempire Air tent, yep, and I have bought the link to link it to Gazebo. I didn't take the Gazebo
Is it the
down.
same link that'll link to gazebos?
No, they are
different.
They're different, yeah. So you get a specific one to link the two gazebos because they different sizes, obviously. But yeah, I've got the link to link my tent to my gazebo. So when we went to Fraser last year now, I had an air gazebo, but a small one. But my swag actually leaked, and on the previous Fraser trip as well, I got quite wet in the rain, so I had to replace my swag because it was leaking. And I thought, well, if I'm going to buy a swag for a couple $100 now, I might as well just spend a little bit more and get one of these tents, because it becomes this whole ecosystem around the way the tent links to the gazebo. So I've got the gazebo, so I've got this whole big almost sealed up unit. But after that Fraser trip and seeing how well those gazebos held up, to that storm conditions, it's the way forward. There's no bent poles and things like that. It's fantastic and so quick to put up, as you saw. I mean, packing away, I think what took you 2 goes to do it once you realised, but it wasn't exactly difficult.
Well, I put it out on the ground to fold it up and realised I didn't know how to do it. So I had to go back for the instructions. But I mean, at the end of the day, it made sense. It wasn't difficult, and it all rolled up and went back into its bag. And it's, so you've got a 3.5 by 3.5 gazebo that you can easily stand up. And one thing that I noticed, because we put the swags underneath it and we had quite a windy night, there's no rustle. There's no wind noise on it. It's silent. It's absolutely silent in there. And it folds up to the size of a single swag. Like I've got a couple of little, they call them biker swags, Darchie biker swags. It folds up to the same size as one of them, compared to a big heavy gazebo that you kind of need to throw.
Big steel poles and those steel ones just they don't handle up to the rain. Like you borrowed one of mine, couldn't handle the rain in Nundle.
That was fairly serious.
But yeah,
that was.
But yeah, I found the steel ones just pull water, and the shape of the air ones just allow the water to run off a lot better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty keen on this air journey now, this air gazebo journey. It'd be awesome to link a couple of those up together and have this whole
make good base camp.
Yeah. Bring the air conditioner and just plug it in, and away we go.
He's up. Yeah, cool. All right, well, that was good. What else? Nothing else? Let's talk about Mark's holiday.
Yeah, I think Mark's got the most to talk about.
The shooting holiday of the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah. So, there was some shooting and there was some hunting. It was primarily a family holiday. That's why we took so much time off. We wanted to catch up. Unfortunately, COVID played out, and then the family's illness. We've been away for 5 years, and that's been a long 5 years for some of the relatives. They're getting on, so we really had to go out and go and meet as many people as we can. So we've travelled a hell of a lot, which is why we're in so many different places, which is really good because I saw a lot of stuff. As I said, got to experience, living in snow. We met up with Steve Kelly, who's been on the podcast some years ago. I was talking to Jonathan as well, who's also been on the podcast, but unfortunately we couldn't make that happen. So Steve and I went out to, we were taken out on a bit of a deer hunt on one afternoon just before Christmas. Met up with a place called Simpson Brothers Gun Shop, which is a really nice gun shop in country, in the what they call the rural or the countryside in the Midlands. Great little place. Lots of shotguns, lots of thermals, lots of big chassis rifles with massive thermal scopes and stuff like that. So a lot of, because in many ways what the English guys do is probably more akin to shooting than stalking. They do stalking, but a lot of it is set position, either set seat or set position, waiting for things to appear. Thermals, you use them constantly. They use thermals. They just use thermals. So you'll have a thermal and a set of binoculars, and they'll just be interchanging between the two all the time. Now the guys who took us out had a a syndicate for 1,500 acre wood. One of the challenges in the UK, as it is here, is access, and the way that access often falls out for people is that someone will offer access for a dollar fee ongoing, kind of like a lease, and you form a syndicate. You find like-minded people, you get together and you form a syndicate, and so you have an annual. It's very much like a lease, if you will. You have an annual fee. This particular lease was owned by the fourth lord of Upper Kedron or whatever his name is, something like that. And he had this 1,500 acre wood that was a forestry block, working forestry block. He owned the timber, but the concession, the syndicate concession was for the game animals in there. And these guys had one of the better concessions where the meat was also theirs. A lot of times in the UK,
it stays on the property.
You shoot the deer, you pay to shoot the deer, you don't pay the deer to take the deer home. But these guys could, because that was so the guy wasn't really interested in the deer or what was on the block. He was interested in the timber. So it was kind of almost like a New South Wales state block in that way. There was a timber truck when we got there, and the only difference is you drove up to the gate and there was an old box, and you open it up and you signed in. And they put a little sign saying shooting in progress. And the guys also use a mapping app system amongst themselves to so they've broken it down into 12 pieces, and they just said, I'm going to go to section 3, and everyone goes, yep, sure, go for it. So that was really quite interesting to see how they worked that out, but it provided opportunity. Saw lots of deer. Number of them were not in a good shooting position because there's houses just over there, which is a constant a very different thing in the UK. We were hunting directly across the track from one of those homes that was in that that architectural show that they have on. They have the
Grand Designs.
Grand Designs. One of the Grand Designs one was across this the laneway. So, I was literally standing there with a rifle looking at this Grand Designs place, and that's completely okay. And there was a couple of muntjac that we don't know we're on the boundary, so we didn't shoot. I lined up another munty, and it would have been a front-on headshot on a munty, and I said, I'm not going to shoot that thing with the 6.5 pieces. So I didn't get too many good goes, and in the end, right on dusk, and there, when it gets dark, it gets dark. Shot at a fallow and I missed it. So that was my deer hunt. And then a few weeks later, we had from a hunting point of view, a really bad day on birds because there was very little around. But from a experience point of view and going out with my son and friends, it was a fantastic day. So it's got on the 20 gauge and threw some sparks up in the sky.
Has he shot the 20 gauge before?
No.
Awesome.
He was just into it, throwing sparks up in the sky grinding, shooting at crows and things like that. But he was loving it. It was just thumping away. He greatly enjoyed it. We went out in the morning. We did about a 2. So basically, we're what they call true rough shooting, where you just literally walk to see if you can scare up a bird or something like that. And we walked for about 2 hours in the morning, and he was getting pretty worn out carrying that 20 gauge between the end of it. So went out, had something to eat, came back, and on the last hour of light, kind of got in the set position, which we thought we were over some flight lines. And every so often the crows would come over and we'd have a crack at them. And they had a couple of goes at pheasants, but didn't make it happen. But we had a fantastic time. I was using a Webley Scott auto loader, so everything got 3 shots.
Why not?
Everything was 3. So yeah, it was great. We got a couple of birds on the ground, which was good. So close out the story, as it were. But more the fact it was a great day with the boy. He had a great time. We were out with Toby and Steve. Toby's a guide and professional coach. He was giving a lot of some pointers, which you'd be hard pressed to get someone with that level of skill on that stuff. So that was fantastic.
Very nice.
So all in all, a very good trip. Couple of really interesting things. We went to Covent Garden, and they wanted to charge £1.50 to do a pee.
Yeah, they do have
£1.50. That's $3
Pay
to do
toilets
a pee.
in this country too.
Not for $3, you don't.
It's when you pee on the door. Say no, thank you.
I'll readily admit I jumped the turnstile.
No.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very limited.
Oh,
I jumped to turnstile. And the other one was when we were going to catch a train to Heathrow. The train wasn't. There was some issue, so we ended up getting a lift. And drop off at the Heathrow is £7. That's just
Just
to
for
drop
drop
someone
off.
off.
Yeah, wow.
That's just to say get out of my car. They charge you for that. So yeah.
It's getting crazy.
Yeah, don't give the
Was there,
airports here any ideas.
Yeah, no, shush. Well, the airport, run airports us getting ideas.
Yeah.
Was there much around the traps inland?
No,
The crazy that is that.
No, look, they've got their own craziness happening over there in many ways. So that's. I tell you what didn't happen was there was no talk whatsoever of the Ashes. It was like media blackout. That was it. That was just didn't mention that anywhere. Look, they've got their own political challenges, and that was certainly consuming them. And also, of course, what's happening in Ukraine is very, very much right in their face. I mean, we flew Qatar Air, and we flew in and out of Qatar or Doha, the very nice airport that it is. And remember, like 3 months ago, the Iranians were lobbing rockets at that airport. There's all that video of people in the airport watching and the rockets coming in and stuff going, oh, look at that type of thing. So, I was thinking about that as we were flying in and out. I was kind of going, this is a place where stuff happens. And on the flight path, of course, you fly over, Iraq and Iran and a few other places, Syria, all very close to. So, watching the map.
Yep. And go higher, pilots, please.
Yeah,
Go
That's
higher.
right. But great airline, great. That airport's really nice, actually. It's got like a rainforest in the middle of it.
Mm.
It's a very nice airport. So lots of, to keep the kids occupied and comfortable. So all in all, a very good trip. I was just looking at some of the notes, but that's about it.
Did you
The
visit any
gear
gun
is
shops?
done. So again?
I was just going to say, what other gun-related, hunting-related shopping did you do?
Yeah, did you visit
Didn't do too
Breda
much
or
because
anything?
had to bring it home. No, we didn't do. We were going to do the Mayfair, Bond Street and Mayfair, and look at Purdy and Holland and Beretta. But the boys just let's go look at some other stuff. So we just wandered around. We got close. We got very close, but we just did a river. Went up, caught one of the boats up to Thames and went up to Greenwich. That was really interesting, going along by the river and actually looking at London from the water. That was really, really quite interesting. So yeah, that was another highlight, that river trip. Saw Greenwich, thought this would be an interesting place to live. There's a weird thing though at Greenwich. There is parrots.
Parrots.
In the cities, when people had caged birds, they had this particular, it's called a ringneck parrot. It's a South African parrot.
I do know them, yeah.
Something happened and someone, that they supposedly carried a disease. So people just let them out.
Good.
Okay.
And they survived. So in Greenwich, we're walking along under these, big old trees with no leaves, and you can hear this
African ringnecks, yeah.
parrot there. It's green and long tail. Oh, there's another one. Yeah. And they're like,
Well, it's good the British get to experience what Australia's experienced with these feral animals
it was really weird. I went, hang on, there's parrots all over this place. And there was. And they seem to like this part of Greenwich. And supposedly they like Greenwich and a few other in the areas in the south. But yeah.
Yeah, because I've never seen one.
Yeah, it's quite spectacular in a way. You kind of go, look at that. Yeah. So we went to some good gun shops. I didn't go to the big guys, but went to some good gun shops and had a look at their gear. The truth of the matter is that Tikka reigns supreme around the world. That's Tikka.
Crazy, eh?
Tikka.
Domination.
Yeah. And they're all pretty much, as I said, a lot of I suppose what we almost, what we would call practical rifle, a lot of chassis, big scopes or thermal scopes, that kind of setup. And of course, suppressors, you carry suppressors. So suppressor technology, Steve had a D-printed titanium suppressor. So he had the more traditional one, which is, sectioned aluminium that you can screw together to make it longer or shorter so you can balance it.
One of those ninja ones.
Yeah, well, that's how it is. Most, they're sectioned, and you basically screw them together so you get the right, like on an archery forward weight. You just keep balancing it till you get it right.
The baffles inside, yeah.
This titanium one, and it's like a Coke can. It's nothing. So they just print it out. It's literally printed titanium.
Wow. Come a long way since I had one.
Well, that's the thing, you see, because they'd use them, their
Yeah.
technology in that area is going leaps and
Advancing.
bounds. Same with the thermals. They use thermals all the time, so their thermals are pretty schmick.
Yep. And you were using the Pixfra one while you
I
were
use
over
the
there?
Pixfra. Use that for everything. Again, because, 8:30, when we first got there, 8:30 sun up, PM sun down. That's if it was a non-cloudy day. Cloudy day was it's just like, so when I was going through all that, looking across all those fields, the thermal was really, really handy all the time, because it's kind of murky dark a lot of the time. Really gives you an idea of what low light really means. When people say, I want a low light scope, you go, what do you mean by low light? Do you mean Australian low light? Or do you mean European low light? Because European low light is dark. It's in that wood, the woodlands when we were hunting the deer. It's dark.
That's why European
like,
optics
like
is
in
so
some
good.
parts of Nundle where you go right into the pines and there's no light penetration. It's like that all the time.
Quiet.
And it's quiet. Yeah, not a lot of bird activity. The bird activity there is very small birds and they make a lot of noise. The ground's wet. It's very, very quiet and very dark. And the little muntjac are, tiny little things. And you just see them scouting around.
Little muntjac.
I hope to
Yeah, I've got one somewhere. Yeah,
hopefully it arrives, but I got one coming myself.
You just put in the post, did you?
Yeah, put my little muntjac skull in the post. Let's see if it arrives.
Good luck. Hopefully it does.
That's it.
Watch out here in a couple of months. You might get a view of it.
Yeah.
Just watch.
Anything else from the land of the UK, mate? Or you?
No, mate. Done? No. As I said, but for people thinking of going over visiting relatives and stuff, there is, once you get out of the big city, there is a lot of opportunity to do shooting and hunting.
There's a lot. It's happening. Very surprising. Yeah.
Like where we were living on a Saturday, or especially between Christmas and New Year's, there's shoots on all the time. It's all the time. You'll be, you'll see the cars pass and they're off to a shoot. We're at this particular little farmlet type thing. There was a shoot happening there while we were in the coffee shop. It happens a lot.
Yeah. The rural Britain is very, very different.
Yeah, what they call country sports, as they refer to them.
Yeah.
A lot of activity. In many ways, very traditional and not particularly individualistic. Like, you're usually a part of a group. There's pretty straightforward who's the rules of who does what and stuff like that. It's not like here where you kind of do, you paddle your own canoe type thing. You're with people. They run to a particular structure. There'll be particular roles within that. So someone will be carrying, someone will be spotting, someone will be shooting. Weirdly around other people all the time who aren't shooting, which is really weird. Like where we were doing the rough walk, it was also dog walkers. So you come around a corner and there's a guy walking his dog towards you, so you just guns down, how you going? And they walk past and then you keep going. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. It's because there's always, wherever you go, no matter where you go, someone's been there for the last 10,000 years. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's very foreign and safe.
It is.
Right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
People just kind of
the same as driving cars.
That's it.
Yeah. But
that's the other weird thing too. When we stayed in York and we stayed in that tiny little 2 up and 2 down, it was almost like Helen, I was saying, you're just basically going to drive me into a ditch because the road just kept on getting, the cars get closer. I said, eventually I'm just going to come around a corner, it's just going to go clunk in a ditch.
You're done.
Yeah. We're living in that tiny little place for a couple of days and it was tiny and everything around it was tiny. So you tend to take open space for granted when you live here.
Yeah, you would. Cool. Okay, well, let's move on. While you were away, I had a conversation with our friend Frank and our other friend Rob, who, after all of the sledging and telling him he may not be coming on the Buffalo trip because of his whatever it was that he did way back then. Anyway, he did. He came along and he was part of the three of us. So there was myself and Frank and Rob that hunted together, and Frank shot that bull before the rest of you guys showed up and did the honourable thing and sacrifice your hunt to come in and help butcher, move, and logistic
yourself.
the thing out of
Yeah.
there. Hurt yourself. Yeah,
Get
lots of chaos.
scarred. Yeah.
So we had a what we call our In Focus interview with the guys while you were away. It's a fun conversation recounting the antics that were. I don't know if you've had a chance to have a listen to it, but we'll chuck it in here. I hope you all enjoy it. It's good fun, and it's a good good recap of the stories. Have a listen, and we'll pop back after this interview and update you on a couple of extra things about what's going to go on this year. All right, welcome guys, and to an In Focus special with Frank and Rob, who were part of the crew from the Northern Territory trip. Welcome back to the podcast, fellas.
G'day.
No, thanks for having me.
No, it's been good, mate. I know we kind of all got out of the car at the end of that trip and didn't hear from each other for weeks. I think we must have had enough of each other by then, after 30 odd Ks up and however many hours that we were there, and 30 odd Ks, 32 hours worth of driving back again. Yeah, I think we'd told all the stories and got to know each other well enough. And that was it. You were gone. Frank, I don't think I heard from you for about a month and a half. You just disappeared.
I had to get back and pretty much pay back my penance for being away from the family for so long. Like they had to go through a bit just for me to get the time off and everything like that. The wife had the 3 kids, and yeah, that's no small favour that she did me, and I made sure that I try to repay that back as much as possible. Yeah, no, it was absolutely flat chat on the way back. Yeah, I think it just goes to show that if you spend time with a couple of guys, it just shows you how close you can get, and it shows you how tolerant you can be, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. We're now at that stage where we could not talk for a couple of years, and
yeah, we're comfortable. We're comfortable with silence.
Left off.
Yeah, exactly right.
There may have been hour-long silences in that car on the way back, and we're all completely awake. That's just the way it goes. Yes, that's true. I haven't fixed those dents in my car yet.
Well, I heard about them more. And I'm still so quite sad about that. But obviously, I had to run that gauntlet, and that was me that did it. So yeah, all I can do is apologise. But I missed the other, 30, 40 that were there. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah. I thought you were playing a game at one point to see how many you could get. But what I am the most surprised about, having detailed the car when I got back again, is how one kangaroo can put a dent in every single panel down the side of the car.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
Like
annoying. Yeah.
There's this tiny little strip behind the front wheel, right before you get to the door panel. Mm-hmm. It's dented it, and then it dented the door panel, and then it dented the rear door panel, and then it dented, the panel that's in front of the back wheel, which again is only about that wide. It's only a couple of inches. Yeah, very talented creatures, the old kangaroo.
Must have been the tail that just kept doing dunk, dunk, dunk as it rolled past, maybe.
Yeah, don't know. Anyway, insurance will sort it out at some point. Speaking of the car, and before we get into the details of the trip, I wanted to get these guys on because we hunted a bit together while we were there, and certainly the final day, which was when Frank got his big bull, we decided to hunt together too. So I want to recap that day. But we also travelled together up and back in what was dubbed the Y60 flu.
Yeah.
So what a pain in the ass that was. Just to put some narrative around that, my son had influenza A about a week and a half before the trip, or 2 weeks before the trip. And like most, I don't know if it's like most kids, but like Zave anyway, within about 2 days, he was over it. Like, he got a couple of symptoms and that was it. But my wife fell in a heap, and she had it for a good week. And I think the symptoms continued on well after we left, but visually she was okay. So influenza A was in my house, and I didn't get it. I was quite careful to sanitize and stay away as much as possible and whatever. And as of the day that we left to go to the territory, I had no symptoms. I was fine. But as you leave on the trip up, as you leave Queensland, which is about, how many hours was it up to Cloncurry? Must have been 20 odd.
20.
Yeah, 20 hours.
So we're still in Queensland. We make camp on the side of the road. There's a little rest area there. We make camp on the side of the road. I was fine right then. But in the morning, when I woke up, I had a scratchy throat.
Yeah, you said that.
Shit, this can't be catching me now. So that was the day. So that morning we woke up and we got back to, we drove to Mataranka, and then onto the property where we stayed. And that would have been late afternoon, mid to late afternoon when we arrived at the property. And I was feeling a little bit rat shit by then.
Yes.
And did my best to try and hold myself together as we met the property owner and got our directions and whatever, headed out to camp. Got out to camp, set up our own individual camps, and I think we were about to crack the first beer, and I basically collapsed, passed out, collapsed, and was done. My lungs were in pain, my back was in pain, everything about me was in pain, and I just off to the stretcher, and that was me for the day, completely stuffed. My next day consisted of staying around camp while you guys disappeared off hunting.
Yes.
In fact, Rob, you shot a bull that day, wasn't it? The first day.
Yeah, day
Yeah,
one.
so-
I was still feeling okay that day when I got up.
And that was the end of it, of being okay, that is.
That was the last good day.
The last good day was the first day.
Yeah.
So to say it belted us was probably an understatement, but I came pretty good. I mean, I was still croaky and snotty and whatever on the second day, but as the week progressed, I came pretty good and I was all right. But that's what brought the flu into camp. So my apologies for that. Although there's nothing you can do about it at the
We're all
time.
sharing
But
the air conditioning, and we're all in amongst the environment. There is nothing we can do about it, unfortunately.
yeah. Now let's add another layer to that. Frank, you had COVID.
Yeah, so previously I had COVID a couple of weeks beforehand, got rid of that. And then when we got to your house and seen young Zay was a bit sick, I thought, well, hopefully he's got COVID and I won't get COVID again because I've been
Wishing my son had COVID, Frank. Surely.
Well, I knew he was sick, so I wish that he had something lighter than what he had. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen like that, unfortunately. And I thought that I had a bit of immunity and I thought I'll be okay. And then I seen young Rob fall on the second day, and I felt a little bit okay. I thought, no, I'm pretty good. I'm still in this. I'm still in with a chance here. And then there was the next day that it hit me, and I had to push through that. Like it was just one thing after the other. Like I had done a heap of training beforehand, as we all know. Like did the pack walks, did the big carries in the morning. You know, I was trying to get myself up some sort of vigor to make sure that I can at least not fall too far behind, as you guys, what, because for the first time ever, I was the shortest person in a hunting party. That never, ever happens. With my family, usually I'm the tallest in the hunting party, so everyone tries to keep up with me. But anyway, so I tried my very best to get myself into some sort of condition to get there, and I thought this is going to be my best chance, And then just like the heat was extreme, and I tried to make sure I was the last person to say, "Man, it is hot here." And I tried to push through everything, and then when I got the cold, then on the day after Rob got it, I just thought, "Oh, this is not good. This is not good." I did not want to throw in the towel, but so what's the word for it? I had to dig a little bit deeper than usual for manners and for patience and for things like that at the time.
Oh yeah.
It definitely was a hard slog. It definitely was a hard slog for myself.
Yeah, and being run down to start with after having COVID wasn't going to help. Not to say that this stopped the process and stopped the hunting happening. It was
That's
just
correct.
an unexpected obstacle that was going on. How did you find it, Rob? Talking about the flu itself and trying to deal with those conditions.
Yeah, well, when I woke up on day 2, I straight up said, I'm not going out today. That's how crook I was. And then, lucky it was a bit of a slow start for you guys that morning. I don't think anyone stepped off till about 10. And then by then, everyone had kind of given me a couple of tablets each. And I was
every
like,
manner of pharmacy.
I'm not that bloody bad. And ended up, I think it was that the morning I went out with you and Jono, maybe.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a fairly reasonable kind of late morning, midday hunt. And then I went out again in the Arvo, and that was the worst day. So after that, I was getting better day by day. But it definitely hit me hard. And I think just, combining it with constant dehydration, and I struggle to eat when I'm in hot environments. So, not really taking on many calories, and that all added up. It didn't stop me in the end. Still went out every session. I think I had one afternoon where I went barra fishing with a couple of the boys instead of out for a hunt, but I would have done that at some stage anyway. So glad it didn't stop me doing anything, but it nearly bloody did. I nearly spent that whole second day in camp. I reckon if you'd left half an hour earlier, I probably would have.
Yeah, I think maybe for us it meant that we could keep up with you.
Here comes the segue. Look out for the bus.
No.
I can hear the bus.
Yeah, that's right. I'll bring it up later. No, but there was a fair bit of banter about me. You set the pace, I'll keep up, don't worry about me. And there were a couple of times just pissing out with sweat.
Oh yeah.
As we were just trying to, there's the days that you've got, a buffalo hindquarter on your back. They're freaking heavy, man.
Oh,
They
yeah.
are.
So you put that on your back and you're doing the march back, and man, it takes a lot out of you.
I reckon.
But good fun.
Huge difference was the day I wore that bloody cotton, just like workwear shirt,
Yeah,
and I was
yep.
like that was a bad mistake. And that because the first 2 days you'd lent me that long sleeve Huntec, which I didn't think.
Yep.
I was like, surely this long sleeve shirt's not going to be good. But it was so bloody different. Like
Tech
so
fabric.
cool,
Breathable,
that
yeah. That's a huge part of it.
cotton. But
I found the same with that Huntec one. I had a hooded one on our last walkout, and it's probably the first time I've ever thought about throwing a hood on in 40-degree heat. Like, it's not really the right, but the amount of shade that it created, obviously, over your head, and the fact that it somehow manages to, I don't know the right words, but the breeze flows through that material so nicely that
it does,
so it kind of catches the breeze and just cools you off. Whether it's wicking, it's wicking the sweat obviously off you, but that's creating its own cooling effect. There's something definitely better than cotton. They say cotton kills you, usually because it's wet and cold, but in the heat, not so flash either. Yeah.
No, you definitely realised it up there for sure. The breathable material is definitely the way to go. Definitely the way to go. Some steep learning curves.
Yeah, cool. So let's just then we might talk about just quickly the water mapping, Rob, because it was a huge part of last year's trip. So our first trip up there, we went totally blind in terms of mapping. We were being escorted around the block, I guess, and wherever they stopped and said, go that way and hunt is where we went and hunted. We didn't have any intel whatsoever. Last year when we went back, we had your maps and we had this, this information on a map that said probable and possible water sources, probable being the better ones and possible, depending on how much evaporation there'd be, some of those pools might still be there. And we found that probably 80% of the possible water was still there, and the probable stuff was you could bank on it. There was no way that wasn't going to be missing, and we were able to go from these water sources to water sources, and that's what made our hunting so successful. This time around was the same, except it was very dry this year, and it was dry last year, but it was a lot drier. All of those possible water sources were gone, and we were relying on the big stuff. But because there was a lot more pressure on the property before we showed up, the animals had disappeared a bit more, and we had to hunt a lot harder to get to them. So on our second to last day, Rob, you and I and Jono grabbed your map, and we drove a couple of hours across the property to an area we hadn't hunted before, and we focused on this water. And that's where I shot my buffalo for the trip. Was on, well, it's interesting, isn't it? This was your probable water, the almost guaranteed, but the almost guaranteed water had dried up to a pan of about maybe 2 or 3 meters across. It was a really small amount of water. There was nothing left in it but a mud puddle. But congregated around that mud puddle was this little mob of cows and a calf, right? So we took one of them. But deciding that the mapping was giving us the advantage that we needed, we refocused that the next day, and that was your hunt, Frank, where we ended up taking the bull. So leading up to that, I remember getting up in the morning and us saying, or Rob and I saying, let's go back to that spot and let's take Frank. I think, Rob, you said, let's take Frank. I want to take Frank.
Yeah.
And that was about when you were at your lowest point with the flu. So you needed some encouragement. I know you said that you weren't going to miss a session.
No,
but I wasn't sure. Fishing was on the cards, let's say.
Fishing was on the cards, but I'd gone there for the purpose of getting a buffalo, and I don't want to say an extreme when I say it, but I would be happy to die out there trying to go get it. Like it just took so much organising and things to get the time off and to organise the family back at home and things like that. Like it a massive sacrifice was made by my family, and I just did not want to let them down. Like the pressure was definitely on for myself, and I just did not want to fail them and fail myself. And yeah, if it was the fact of me just having the sniffles for not doing the hunt, and I wasn't going to sit down there and not take that, it was just, I I wanted that buff and I needed to go and get the buff. And to tell the truth, I think I said to Rob like the day before, I said, I don't care if a calf jumps out in front of me, I'm going to blow this thing. I'm going to blow it away. Because I did have an opportunity on the Monday as well. And that wasn't mentioned on your previous podcast. And I'm going to do a bit of a justice to Jono here. Absolute gentleman that he is. First afternoon, we're there and I've gone with Jono once again. Absolute champion of a fella. Was walking in front of me, and we've got to this point where it's between the water and the hill. And he said that the buffalo goes to the water, and they come up the hill into the afternoon. So we're walking this base of this hill, and as we're walking through this thick stuff, at to our right, I can see this white Brahman cow, and she sticks her head out at us, and then she looks over to the shadows, directly in front of us, and looks back to us and turns around and goes back in the bush, and then from her hindquarters, you could see that she had just given birth. So I could see she was a bit hyped up, and especially being a Brahman cow, they do like to take you on, especially if you're out there, I would imagine, and they don't take you being so close to their calf, especially when they just had it too kindly. So I thought we were going to get charged by this thing, and it was only about 20 meters away. And as I'm watching this thing, it was skirting around. Jono's in front. Jono's just turned to me, and he's had his finger pointed directly in front, and he just said, "Frank, look, buff, buff, buff." And this is where like the gentleman in him come out. As he loaded, he stepped back behind me for me to be able to take the shot. And I brought your 7mm up. It was pretty much loaded by the time it comes straight up. And as I put my scope onto this buffalo, couldn't actually find it in the scope. It was only 20 meters away, and as I'm trying to find it, I could not get it into the scope. I put the scope down and realized that it was still on number 8, not on number 2. So I just reefed it back on number 2, brought it back up to get in line with the buffalo. But by the time I've done that, these buffalo have gone. This all happened in the matter of like a second and a half. This happened, and I was filthy with myself, really proper filthy with myself. John goes, "That's all right, we'll get them next time." Like it was no digging, there was no kicking, there was nothing. Like nothing was mentioned of it afterwards, and I just wanted to say that John was absolutely gentleman in that at that time, and I really can't thank him for giving me that experience. So, but that hung over me for the rest of the week. So I wasn't going to miss out on any session. Just to bring you back to what we're talking about.
Good on you. Yeah. What was it in the end?
There was 2 cows and 2 calves.
Yeah.
It was 2 cows and 2 calves. And I only seen the calves as soon as they started running. Like all I seen was just 2 big figures in front. And for all I would have known, and for all Jono would have known, they both would have been bulls. But Jono, he just pointed and stepped back, and I just that to me was like a great sacrifice. And I looked at that and thought, that's great. That's a great character. That's a fantastic character to have, I think. Yeah.
Awesome.
As much as you hate me for shooting his buffalo.
Yeah, there was a bit of that on the day that I shot mine. I can't remember who spotted them. Did you spot them, Rob?
I think so.
Yeah, so you spotted them up there. You'd already shot one that day before. There was nothing, or a couple of days before, there was nothing in that group that was any bigger. So you passed it up. I said to Jono, I said, "You shoot it, but whatever comes next is mine." And he was pretty keen to get a bull. So that came back to me and said, "Yeah, well, you have it." So I've shot that one. But of course, Jono didn't hunt with us the next day, did he?
No.
No, unfortunately not.
So whatever comes next, Jono didn't show up at all, which is where that comment comes from, because I think there's something on the video at some point that hasn't been released yet where you've said, "Do you think Jono will care?"
Yeah.
And there's something on another piece of video where Jono's gone, "You bastard, you shot my bull."
Yeah, well, I remember saying to Jono, like, "Look, if it's big and wide, I want to step aside." That was the rhyme for the whole trip, especially after that Monday. If it's big and wide, I'll step aside. And then I remember he come up and looked at the buffalo, and he said, "What happened to if it's big and wide, I'll step aside?" And I said, "Well, you weren't here. You weren't here."
No, going to leave it there for another 2 hours.
Yeah. Wait for you to get
see what happens. Oh, well, that's the way that goes. But I think that next day when we decided, or Rob said, "Let's take Frank on this one. We've got to get Frank out there." I think there was a fairly conscious decision at that point to change the way that we hunted the day before and slow that pace right back up. And it probably wasn't necessarily a reflection on you, Frank, It was more that the faster and harder you go at it, the more you suffer.
Amen.
And we found that it was a really good idea. I think even every 500 meters we were stopping and dropping packs and making sure we were rehydrating a bit more and all of that, which is what ended up making the day successful.
Oh, definitely.
So, Rob, I might, if you don't mind, I'll get you to talk us through up to when we parted ways with Frank.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we stepped off from the car, and Ian and I had obviously been in this area the day before, and we had a couple of these Parramatta dots on the map, and one of them we got to the day earlier, and one of them we didn't make it to, so we kind of started cutting our way straight to that, and the wind was fairly good that day, mostly in our face.
Wind was perfect.
Yeah. Everything just worked out well that morning, but even making it through the bloody creek line that we were supposed to be paralleling just kept zigging and zagging back and forward in front of us. But every time we came up to another crossing, it seemed to be a reasonably good drop in and easy climb out. Even that was working out nice. And yeah, like you said, we were stopping irregularly. I think it's a bit of an art to hunting in a small group, especially if you do have a bit of a mismatch in pace. It's always important to I've been the victim of this with my with a few of the Kiwi boys hunting over there, where they can walk up a mountain like a little goat, and they sit down and glass for 5 minutes, and then I get there and I would love to sit down for 5 minutes, but up they get and off we go. And you end up going for 4
Happens
or 5
a lot,
minutes without stopping.
You notice that even with hiking, you wait for the slower person, and if you're not thinking about it, you take off once they get to you. They don't get the rest.
No,
that's right.
No, but to be honest, I needed the rest by that last day. I was more than happy to take it easy and sit in the shade and be real deliberate with water consumption, and it was working out well. We, like I said, we had that wind in our face. We were paralleling that creek. It was pretty easy to nav because we were basically generally paralleling the creek line and heading almost due east, I think. So there wasn't much to worry about, and meant we could spend a lot of time scanning ahead, looking forward, scanning out the sides. And we started to see a bit of sign as we progressed. I couldn't really tell by then, but I think, Ian, you were starting to say, or it might have been Frank, starting to pick up on some of the shit and saying it's more bull than cow. And
and buff tracks, buff tracks,
and then I think we would have been going for maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours by the time we kind of started closing in on that Parramatta dot we were trying to get to, the water source, and we again slowed it down a bit, and I was trying to scan really far ahead with the binos, and I eventually saw what was the water source, and there was definitely water in it, but it was obviously nowhere near as full as it generally would have been, and I straight away went to a bit of shade and thought, we'll get some glass on this, and we all dropped packs under that tree, and I'm standing there scanning, and Frank comes up and he's like, "What are you looking at?" And I said, "I'm just that's the water just up there." I think we were maybe 200-300 meters away at this stage. I'd scanned past and saw this, I thought it was a log in the edge of the water, and was looking at the tree line beyond that, and Frank goes, "What about that buff right there?" And it wasn't a log in the water. It was a freaking huge buffalo with its massive horn sitting up as it was just sleeping there, and that was it. We went from getting set up to have a bit of a sit for 10 or 15 minutes in a glass to coming up with a very quick plan on how we were going to close in on it. And I didn't really move much from that point. Obviously, you and Frank got into your positions, and I followed you up Hurls a little bit after, once Frank was set. And then it was all action.
Yeah,
it would just be right at the moment that Frank said, "What about that bull?" I'm staring at that bull through the binos, just believing what I'm looking at. I didn't say anything. It was just, and it had this big horn sticking up in the air because it was lying, right? And I'm looking at it, and I'm listening to your conversation in the background, and Frank said, "What about that buff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what about that buff? That's a bull, Frank. That's a big bull." Holy shit, look at the size of that sucker.
Worst point man ever, looking anywhere but where the bloody bull was.
Far out, yeah.
But,
so
it was good because it meant that Frank generally spotted the bull first as well. So
yeah.
It was all on him,
It was no gift. What happened next? We probably spent a minute looking at it and talking about it and where we're going to go and that sort of stuff. But it was always going to be Frank.
Yeah, for sure. And the wind just stayed perfect the whole time, eh? Like we knew we had that time to there was no need to try and shoot from that 200-300 or whatever we were, but there was plenty of time to get in, close the distance. There was plenty of little bits of cover and concealment between where we were and where Frank ended up shooting from. So, yeah, we had time on our side.
So as Frank walks up, goes and does his thing, and he'll talk to you about that in a minute, Rob and I found appropriately location ant mounds to lean up against. The only thing I could think of was Frank better get this thing quickly, as in one shot, because Rob's rifle's going to blow my eardrums out. That's all I was thinking about. Because I was leaning over this ant mound, and I'm on it, and I'm like, God, when's Rob going to shoot? Is it going to be a second later? Is it going? This is going to hurt lots, because you were right next to me, maybe 20 meters to my right. Yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck, it's going to hurt. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Up Frank went.
Yeah. Look, just even remembering this part is just God, brings a smile to my face. For the first time in my life, I was looking down at Rob because he got his little stool out. And I'm like,
oh, that's right.
I
was getting ready for a real.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you were too, weren't you? Yeah. It's going to be a sit.
We're just going to watch over this water. And I'm like, oh, and we wait for someone to come in. I'm like, what about that buff there? And then you, Hurley, is like, you had your binoculars. I was like, and you said, oh, he's huge. He's huge, Frank. He's massive. I'm like, Hurley, don't. Just shut up. Don't tell me how big he is. Don't. Don't tell me how big he is. I'm already nervous enough. Don't tell me how big he is. And then the first thing I thought is I just need to anchor this thing. And I walked along the cattle track, because the cattle track had obviously been, trodden down before, and all those cornflakes, they were off to, close to the bull. They were literally just, into powder on this cattle track. So I walked on the cattle track for a good 100 meters, and then I don't know. It's as if God himself put a 4-foot wide ant mound there between me and the buffalo. It's the widest ant mound I've ever seen. It was as if it was made to cover Frank. And so I'm like, well, I'll take that as a sign. I'll go in there. And I walked in up to it, and I put the rifle on, and I zoomed it back up from 2.5 to 4, and found the buffaloes back of the head. And I thought, I remember, because I remember helping Rob skin out his head a couple of days beforehand, and we just took a couple of measurements and things like that as to how they were made up and everything. Thought if I can put it in here, I don't think he will move. And then I thought maybe we should take a photo of this through the with the phone. This would make a really good photo. And then I thought, Frank, you idiot, just shoot the bloody buffalo. So then I was on the ant mound, and I took up the pressure of the trigger, and then the 7mm went off, and then I got him just behind the ear, and he just went down into the side, and then I just emptied the magazine into his heart onto the side, because I just did not want him getting up, and he did it for a time. He didn't.
For a time. Yeah. And that was about the moment. The next thing I heard was Rob. He's like, oh, Frank, one shot off. Oh, Frank. You smashed him with one shot, and my ears were saved.
Yeah.
So my stress levels, were relieved at that point.
Well, mine, yeah. I remember just yelling. I just remember yelling out so loud and just throwing my hands up in the air and just elated, and just a massive sense of accomplishment, and just so much. I don't know, just so much stuff coming through. So many, for lack of a better term, so many feelings coming to the surface. It just took so much effort on a lot of people close to me, a lot on their behalf, for me to get to that point, and just not just with just the actual travel there, but like previously in the losing of the weight and things like that, and all that sort of support like that. It's all just all culminated, like whip cracking, and getting to the very end of it, and just making that bang. And I suppose it all just come out at that point. And there's a video there. We'll see how much we'll share of it, but it was just absolute elation. I've never ever felt so euphoric before. It was just. Yeah. It was definitely great. And to share it with such good friends, I was just, it was really good. It was great. It was great. I'll never forget it. I will never ever forget that moment.
The best end to a hunt I've ever had to. Frank and I were chatting at least once a week for months leading up to that trip. Either about the trip or about the dogs or both or whatever. And I was lucky to get one on day one, and to watch Frank just toil away for the whole week. And then the three of us in particular being there together at the end to share that moment, that was That was bloody unreal. I'll never forget that day.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty bloody good. And the moment on video will be left at the dam, because when I was pressing record, I was turning it off, and when I was turning it off, I was actually turning it on. So I got a whole bunch of the really important stuff, but some of those things will live in your memories, and that'll be about it, which is totally fine. That's probably where they should stay. But it was good. And it was actually, you know, when we walked around the other side of that dam and he was there, and man, your hands were like, they were shaking so much.
Proper shaking, yeah.
That was a big adrenaline buzz.
Huge adrenaline buzz. And just going up to him and, like, you poke him in the, reload the rifle, poke him in the eye with the end of the rifle, make sure he's
Did
down.
you do that?
I did do that. Yeah, I did do that. I did do that, and hence my astonishment later on. But later on, we'd just put the rifles up against the tree and taken the packs off, and it decided it wanted to get up. Yeah, it wasn't
dead.
Just that massive cough. It was just I remember this huge cough and this massive, like, it looked like about, I don't know, 3 foot of cocktail Frankfurt come out of his nose. Just all this coagulated blood come out when he did this big cough. And I thought, oh, he's just coming to life again. He's been resurrected.
Oh.
Here he comes again, and I'm like, I better get the gun. And I remember pulling the gun up and going, where do I shoot him? And you go, just in the head. I'm like, it didn't work last time.
Yeah. Well, just to finish that off, all he did was have a big, like, last second jerk.
Yeah.
To try and get up, and he just straight back onto his side.
Straight back over the side.
There was no getting up. He was done, and he was expired at that point.
Yes.
Just strange how the nerves work sometimes, I guess, when the lights are going out.
Well, it's just he took a 7mm to the head, and he was able to wake up. Like, that's tough. That is hard. That's very hard.
Yeah.
I was amazed by that, but elated, and then we messaged the boys, and that was great.
Yep, and they all showed up to come and give us a hand, which is kind of how the whole thing ended up. It took the entire party of 6 to take the parts of it out that we needed to. I think we estimated that head to weigh somewhere in the 60-kilo mark.
Yeah.
Like, once we took off, it was absolutely massive. Yeah.
Big head.
And where is it? What's been done with it now that you've got it home?
Yeah, so I've got the horns off the skull. I've cut the inside of the horns down to about 8 inches either side, and it's macerating right now in a big 44-gallon drum. Yeah, it's still macerating now, and making sure that all the little bits and little bits of fat and everything are off of it. So they want to bring it out, because apparently the longer you leave it in there in its own juices, the more of an environment it creates to get rid of all that stuff. Yep. And so I'll take it out when it's a really, really hot day. I'll take it out and give it a bit of a wash, and then I'll let it get it. Well, if you get it into the sun, it'll whiten up really quickly, and so you get really bright white skull. And then I might give it a coat of peroxide, but yeah, it's still macerating at the moment. So the neighbours do get a whiff every now and then of it. But other than that, the horns are safely in the shed there, and waiting for it to be mounted. But once they are, I'll show you guys, and it'll be a trophy that I'll look at every time with a smile on my face. Every time I see it, I will definitely be smiling every time, for sure.
Awesome, man. Oh, well, it was a pleasure to have you up there. It was great to have the group, and like Rob said, on the last day we all got to go out and do that, which meant we got to talk about it all the way home. I think I got sick of you saying I shot a massive bull by the time we got home, but yeah, it was all good. It was good fun.
I just wanted you to remind me. That's all. I just still feel like a dream. That's all.
That's why we had to put this together. Oh well, it was definitely one for the ages, man. It's one I'll never forget either, and it was awesome. So thanks for coming back on and retelling the story. It's been great.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's great to relate it again. It was fantastic. Right. Thank you so much.
Good stuff. Thanks, fellas.
All right, guys. See ya.
Yeah. And we're back.
Okay.
Did you enjoy that?
That was amazing.
I did.
Brilliant. That good old Y62
flu.
Actually,
you remembered it? Is that how you remembered it, Jono? Do you remember saying those things, Jono?
No, I don't. I can't say that I did.
So Frank's story comes out.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'm actually wanting to, and since now we're doing a little bit of a reel or a longer video for the stories, I'm actually was going to do I haven't said this yet to Frank, so he might say no. But I was going to do a quick little interview with him for the story.
Oh.
He'll love it.
They inform me March it drops.
Yeah, his face lit up in this conversation. He relived the excitement all over again. So I'm sure he'll be ecstatic to do that again. That's really cool. All right, couple of extra things. Because we've dropped that story in here, I'm going to hold over the next greatest hunt ever story until the next podcast, or the next full podcast, but we'll do it in the next one next week. There's a couple more stories that have come in. Not too late to get your greatest hunt ever story in if you'd like to go in the draw to win one of those 2 signed books from NZ. So get those stories into us and we'll draw the first one very soon. And
I just realised I've got one of those books coming.
I've got one for you. I've got one for Jono.
Oh, brilliant.
I've got one for me. And
because it actually says to the world's greatest hunter inside, doesn't it? Or the world's greatest rider or something.
Yeah, greatest rider.
I may have peeled that page out.
Yeah, no. But I've got a picture of it, mate, so it doesn't matter.
I think it says to the world's greatest
gun rider.
World's greatest
living gun rider.
World's greatest living gun rider. That's it.
Yeah, I'm sure it pained him to pen that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's in there. So get those stories in. Be good to get a few more. We'll get a few more prizes going, and we'll try and keep the feature rolling. I've got a great one up next.
Oh, okay.
From a known individual who you might recognise. Last name Boyley.
Okay.
That's an interesting story.
I know some stories of Brian, and I don't think
we won't be repeating.
They're not fit for print.
What happened in camp stays in camp. Mate. Leave that one alone. And we're getting a lot of queries about Huntcamp this year. So Huntcamp is moving to the Victorian border this year. You know, we went down to a property down there to look at Samba a little while ago. Well, we've booked that place. We're now going to take a crew of approximately 30 people. It's not going to be open to everybody.
Yeah.
We will let you know shortly how you can get involved with that. It will be late September, early October time frame. All right, is the time frame for it. There's a reason for that, because SSAA SHOT Show is going to be, unless it, for some reason after all of this chaos, it gets cancelled, which I doubt it will. We're hoping to be at SHOT Show, which is mid-August, which means we can't really get early September Samba hunting because families and stuff. So then we don't particularly like September the month because birthdays, anniversaries, and Father's Days, and oh my God, September's just chaos for the Hunters Campfire crew. So we're not doing that. So it's now going to be the end of September, early October. It'll be slightly warmer. If you're interested, let us know. It will be freaking awesome. It'll be chasing Samba and fallow in the Vic High Country / New South Wales High Country on the border. It'll be great. It will be great. And it will be Air Tent City.
Air Gazebo and Tent City.
You've heard it here.
Oh, hey. Ian from the editing desk here. Turns out in a podcast, when we record, when I throw out random dates without checking with the boys, sometimes they clash. So Huntcamp dates, we haven't set them yet. Sometime in the time frame, mid to September to mid-October, we will let you know as soon as we nail them down. But apparently, SHOT Show, anniversaries, birthdays, more anniversaries, more birthdays, and all sorts of other things clash. But it's going to happen. Stay tuned. We'll figure it out.
Anything else, fellas?
I was going to say, I've heard some stuff about SHOT Show, but you've kind of let the cat meow out of the bag.
No, I haven't.
Just said it's on. That's right. But we're going.
Well, we haven't said why.
Yeah. You said it's on, and we're going.
That's right. We're going. That's why we're having to move, because we can't be at two places at once, which might give us an idea. You know what? That gives us an opportunity to catch up with Robert Borjak Jr. Because he's invited us on his podcast, but he wanted us to be down there so we could go hunting.
We do that. Yeah, he wanted to invite us, Rob, because we know you're listening, to your podcast at your favourite hunting location.
Yeah.
That's how I recall that conversation going.
Something like that. Well, that might now be happening.
Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Yep.
I've got an email somewhere about that.
Excellent. So now we get to go and play at SHOT Show and go hunting. Man, it's going to be a good year.
It will be. I'm just thinking about that. I've just got to check some dates because the end of September, early October is a little busy.
It will be. All right, you check some dates. We'll lock it down. We'll make it happen. That's it in the podcast. Jono, I've done a favour for you.
No? What?
No?
Can we let it in? Look, this is the suspense is killing me. What's going on?
I did it.
Campfire.
See you later.
See you, gents.
Rightio, that's a wrap from the team at the Hunters Campfire. We hope you had a laugh, learned something useful, or at least were a little bit entertained. And you feel a little bit more pumped up for your next hunting, shooting, or outdoor misadventure. As always, a massive thanks for the support from our friends at SSAA and Beretta Australia. Whether you're out there chasing game, telling lies to your mates around the fire, or just trying to remember where you left your boots. Stay wild, stay curious, and for the love of all things blaze, stay safe, so we can see you back around the fire next time.